Registeel has been the top of the Great League for a long time, but now kinda fall off. Nobody is using this Pokemon anymore, and it's only got a slight nerf on it. But as you can see as well, this Pokemon is not even in the top 100 anymore after being in the #1 spot for a long time, because Zap Cannon got nerfed and because Mudslap got buffed. But does it mean that this Pokemon doesn't have any play anymore? We will find out here today. Because honestly, Registeel itself does look quite solid on paper, having a lot of very good matchups. But with that, hello and welcome to a new video. I really hope you enjoy those videos as well. And we're going to take a look today at Registeel. And we start off strong already. We're going to have a great matchup in the beginning. We saw the Shadow Annihilator going up against our Corsola here, which is going to be of course a great matchup. And our, the Registeel is going to go up against Jumpluff. And Jumpluff is going to even take the attack drop here. It's only a 33% chance now from Zap Cannon. But as you're going to see here already, Jumpluff has absolutely zero chance against this Registeel. Then comes again the Annihilator, which allows us to go for yet another Zap Cannon to try to get some damage onto them. And look at the damage here. We get another attack drop. We can get the farm down with our Corsola. And at this point, we're going to be able to bait out the Bastion. And let's talk a little bit about the team, because we know already at this point, this game is over. We're going to be able to win this. The opponent doesn't have a chance. So, we're going to have Corsola in the lead, going to be able to counter those fighting type Pokemon, which is the main reason why we have it here. We need to have an anti-fighting type Pokemon, we need a Pokemon that resists fighting type moves, and Corsola does double resist fighting type moves and does have super effective fast move coverage against those Annihilate, which are the current premier fighting type Pokemon. But otherwise, so we're going to have a Sasop here, the Credilli, being a rock type, being able to bait out fighting type Pokemon, but just generally having great coverage and mostly being able to also deal with something like a Talonflame. And of course, our closer is going to be that Registeel. We're going to have a shiny Registeel here as well, which is even cooler. But this is honestly a Pokemon that I feel like people just forgot about. And I still think it's a very solid pick for the current meta. Here I make a bit of a mistake actually. I go for the move. I go for the Power Gem. I should have not done that. Because what I could have done then, I could have went into my Registeel and I would have been able to just knock them out with a charge move there, with a Zap Cannon immediately while taking all the damage. But what I decided to do instead now is I decided to go into my Credilli and get an energy advantage while investing some shields. Because I felt like this was still the right choice, because now I am going to be able to go for the full farm down. I hope this is not going to bite me later on, but as you can see, they're stopping out into the Talonflame, and it is absolutely not going to bite me now, because I have so much energy on to my Credilli. I will be able to take down this Talonflame in time, knocking out one of those Pokemon that I really don't want to face with the Registeel, as this Rock Tomb is easily enough to one-shot them. In comes Stunfisk again. I need to kind of preserve my Credilli in order to hit maybe a Grass Knot later on. But also, I am going to be able to apply some fast move pressure here with my Corsola, which is going to be quite nice, because with that, I am going to put them into range for our Registeel's Focus Blast. And this is the cool thing about Registeel. You don't have fast move pressure, that is not the cool thing, but you don't have so much charge move pressure for a Pokemon with the bulk of this thing here. But actually, for this battle itself, we don't really need it. We have our Credilli here. Credilli even can go for the bait move because they're already so low. But I still want to showcase that I have my green trash can in the back, and we're going to be able to win this battle. As we go up against one of the most difficult leads possible, we're going to have the Shadow Mightyena. Shadow Mightyena doing so much damage against Corsola, of course, forcing us out straight away. But they also utilize the Poison Fang here, which I think they didn't need to go for. I'm fairly certain they had Crunch already at this point as well. But yeah, of course, great bait there from them. Poison Fang is going to drop our defense straight away. And here I make a mistake. I should have used a shield. Why? Because they go for the Crunch now. I expected a Poison Fang. But for example here, the best scenario where you can have your Registeel is when shields are down. Because you have nuke moves. You don't have fast move pressure, you just have nuke moves. So this is why I also think that if you want to run your Registeel, you should do it as a closer. Because the likelihood of shields being down at that point when this Pokemon comes in is way higher than in any other position for this thing. So yeah, this is why I have it here. I actually did not lag there. I just didn't pay attention, and I would have lost this battle here anyway at this point, so it doesn't matter at all. There was no chance of me winning this battle here, which is alright, but we're going to be able now to move on to the next opponent, where we will face an Altaria, and the opponent just forfeits straight away. So I guess they just didn't want to, I know the opponent as well, I assume they just didn't want to be in a video with their team. At least people know that you're running Shadow Altaria now. No, but I don't know what happened there. Anyway, we're going to have here a very solid lead of the opponent's Shadow Alone on Ninetales, a Pokemon that maybe we should take a look at as well again. I feel like it's a interesting Pokemon that a lot of people don't really have been playing recently, and I think it's a good Pokemon with a Weather Ball buff as well. Honestly, it should be on my list. I'm gonna write this down real quick. Because I honestly think that the Ninetales has a lot of play right now. I think it's a very, very cool Pokemon to have. But as you can see as well, there's going to be the Ninetales coming in, going to be knocking us out here if I wouldn't shield, but I decided to use a shield here, and this is going to allow us now to get in also our Registeel, which will take only resisted damage, as the Ninetales cannot hit any pure Steel-type Pokemon. But to be fair, there are not a lot of pure Steel-type Pokemon currently in the meta, and so Registeel is quite unique even with that kind of effect. There have been a few more back in the day. Nowadays, pure Steel, not that common at all. And here we're going to see the Focus Blast landing against the Ninetales and knocking them out. In comes the Charizard. And you know what's cool here? We still have coverage for those Pokemon as well. As we will see here, we're going to have the Blastman coming in. The Zapcon is going to now knock them out as well. And this is going to allow us to get the debuff onto them, as the Rock Tomb is going to allow us now to knock them out. And we can move on to the next opponent, where we won this battle with 3 Pokemon left. And so you see the power of that Registeel. And I'm excited for taking a look basically at those old school Pokemon. Is there another old school Pokemon you want me to build a team around? Let me know down below, because I do think that a lot of them actually still has some potential. Like a Medicham, for example. And Lickitung we already had a few weeks ago. And here we're going to have our Nemesis. Like, this Pokemon is basically impossible to deal with. It is going to be the Primeape, and Primeape is going to be in a position here right now as well, where it's quite awkward. We are going to have at least the Night's Shade here, which is going to allow us to knock them out if they're going to let the move go, which in this case they do, which is really nice for us, because we cannot deal with this Pokemon at all. Otherwise, then we have the Credilli here, which, by the way, Registeel can hard counter. And this is the thing with the current meta, where I do think that Registeel has quite a lot of potential. It's just because there are so many Pokemon where their moveset is just not doing anything against you. You're going to be able to hard counter Azumarill. You're going to be able to hard counter Credilli. You're going to be able to hard counter Bastion kind of with this Pokemon. Altaria has no coverage against you, which it never had before. Flamethrower is doing some solid damage against you, but you're good against Dragonair. You're going to be good against Corviknight still. Corviknight is not going to be a great matchup for them. Like, there are so many top meta Pokemon. Now Raquanet, that's going to be super, super weak against Registeel, to the point where I do think this Pokemon has a lot of potential. But yeah, here we're going to be able to knock out yet another Charizard, as they're going to reveal, of course, still their Credilli in the back. But we have our hardcore answer there as well. This is going to be, an easy victory, and we can move on to the next one. Registeel is going to be also quite good against the Ferret. All the charge moves are going to be resisted, but in order to get to this matchup, we kind of have to align ourselves again, and I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to do that. We see the Trailblaze coming in. I'm going to be able to go for the Rock Tomb here against the opponent, but as we will see here next as well, there's going to be the attack drop onto them. We are going to try our best to let this move go. This is going to be the Trailblaze, and the Rock Tomb is going to allow us to win the Zero Shield scenario. And that is going to be quite nice. This is exactly kind of what I would like to see here as well. And we're going to be able to go into our Registeel in order to deal with this Ferret now. All the charge moves are going to be resisted, so there's no need for us to shield or do anything else. As we will see, there's going to be now the attack boost still on them. Focus Blast is coming up next, and this is going to be a bit awkward, as this Focus Blast is now going to knock them out, but we kind of needed to go for energy there on a Pokemon where usually we wouldn't really need to. But we have a Florges and the Altaria in the back, and with that I'm quite hopeful, and I do think we are going to be in a position where we should be able to win this one. Because what we should be able to do here now is we should be able to just go ahead and get some extra energy, then swap out to clear our debuff, and that should maybe allow us to win this battle. Let's see. We have the Chilling Water coming in. I actually decided to go for a charge move here. I do disagree with this play now in hindsight, and I hope it doesn't bite me, as we will see the Altaria swapping back in. We have the Zapcan coming through, but now we are forced to shield up the opponent's Flamethrower, which is going to be reached quite fast here. So, who's faster? Who gets faster to the move? We need a total of, I think it's 16 fast moves to get to our move, while the opponent gets with 4 times 16. Oh, I'm currently bad at math. That's great. 264. That's also, they are faster to get to their moves generally. They're faster to get to their Flamethrower with a recent move update. And you know what's awkward as well? The opponent is going to be able to catch that move onto the Florges. Very well done. This is going to lose us the battle here. Or is it? It's not. And we can move on to the next opponent. So yeah, I do think that this team is quite alright. Would you say so as well? I don't know. I think it's quite cool. Let's move on here. We're going to have Credilli. Credilli against the opponent's Corviknight is going to be a matchup that you want to kind of stay in there. Of course, we kind of want to swap into it just because I didn't want to get hit by a super effective Payback. And here we're going to get hit by a not super effective Shadow Punch. And we're going to be able to also go for the Rock Tomb. And in hindsight, I am going to regret this. And I did this very, very silly. If I went for the Grass Knot, I would have knocked them out here with 2 fast moves. If I don't knock them out with 2 fast moves, I should have went for my charge move after 1. In this case, I got the damage onto me, and I got the energy off my Pokemon. So, like, that's a worst case scenario. As you guys see in the back, there's going to be a Stunfisk. I am not too sure if I would have had a chance of winning this battle anyway, but now it's going to be very tough, and I do actually think I must say would have had a chance. Especially if I would have went for the Grass Knot, I would have had a ton of energy. I would have been able to even pressure the Corviknight with it. And I would have even kept some of the energy for my Reggie, like for basically for later on for the scenario that my Registeel has to go up against. Here, for example, I would have been able to snipe them then. And I would have put them into a Focus Blast range. So, yes, I do think that this is the thing that lost me the battle. I do think it would have been still a very close battle. And we have no idea if I would have been able to win this one. But it definitely had a good chance if I played it a bit differently. Let's see if this is going to be the same for this battle. We're going to have a Camo. To be fair, I have no idea on how this Pokemon is playing right now because I haven't really played that much. I think I played it once since the update. Dragon Claw is surprisingly strong. Dragon Claw is doing so much more damage than I expected, to the point that they're going to 2-shot us. To the point where they're actually going to be able to win this here, maybe even the 2 shields. I'm not too sure. Brick Break is coming through. Great bait by the opponent. I didn't really need to shield it, but I also wasn't too aware of their counting there. I wasn't really too sure on if we are going to be able to farm them down in time. At this point, I'm just gonna let the move go. I think it's just a Brick Break anyway, right? It's a Dragon Claw. I have no idea what I'm doing here, apparently. We can knock them out with a Credilli. Credilli is going to be generally the best Pokemon here as well, as you're going to see the Ferrothorn, and we can swap out a Catch the move onto our Registeel. This is going to be the Power Whip, which is going to be resisted, and they only have resisted damage if they're on Flash Cannon or the Mirror Shot. If they have Thunder, they're going to do some neutral damage, but it's not going to do a lot. And again, Registeel is going to be here to kind of hardwall the opponent. Look at this, it's a Karmic. What can Karmic do against us? Absolutely nothing. I was expecting that they would go for a charge move here, but they decided to just let all of their stuff go. I can go for a charge move here against them. Let's see if we're going to force the final shield from the opponent. We do, which is fair, which doesn't matter because I'm going to be able to win this battle. There's nothing that really stops me of winning this battle because they can go to the Ferrothorn here. They still can go for a charge move if they want to, but how are they going to be able to get rid of our Registeel? They don't have the tools in order to get rid of our Registeel. We can even go for the Rock Tomb here, which will allow us to get the debuff as well as putting them easily into range for a Focus Blast. They can go for their own charge move. It's going to be here the Power Whip. It is resisted and debuffed. You don't do damage, my friend. And now Focus Blast is going to be able to take you down, and with that, we're going to be able to win this battle. Yet again, Registeel showcasing how strong this Pokemon can actually be. And so yeah, I do think that this Pokemon, and I think also this team, is actually fantastic. I do think that especially that Registeel is such a Pokemon that's super underrated, that deserves to be used more often, and that shouldn't be ashamed of the current meta. Because especially here as well, look at Spite-Ups. What can you do? This is literally the hard wall to everything. Like, this Pokemon is super underrated, Registeel. And we're in the last battle, and you know what this means. We kind of reflect a little bit more on towards the team. What did go well? What did go wrong? I am not too sure if the Corsa is the best possible lead for this team, personally. That doesn't mean that Corsa was bad. Absolutely not. You saw it here all the time. It was very, very solid. I think I'm just not the person that likes to run total meta, and this is total meta other than Registeel. So that's most likely my problem with it. I could see actually that the better lead for this team is Shadow Dusknoir. This would have been most likely the better Pokemon to use here, which is going to give you more fast move pressure, which you're lacking with your Pokemon in the back, with your Registeel, as well as with Credilli to most cases, basically. And I think it would have been way, way better because you can use your shields early, you can go shields down with it as well, way, way faster. And honestly, I'm kind of now thinking about it and be like, I should have done that. I really should have done that. I really should have tried to go ahead. And here, by the way, we lacked a turn. That's why I forced to swap out to catch a move. It didn't work out. I would have won the final battle here, absolutely, if it would have went ahead under normal circumstances. But because I lacked a turn, I had no chance of knocking out the opponent's Talonflame as well as the Stunfisk. This is a win if it wasn't for lag. So that is why I had to catch that as well. But that's just don't bet. I'm of course not going to win this. The Talonflame is a charge move. But this team is fantastic. Registeel is fantastic. The backline is fantastic. The only thing that would change is most likely Shadow Dusker on the lead. And I think this team would be perfect. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to leave a like. And I will see you then. Bye-bye.